Good afternoon and welcome to Nutmeg Sports here on the HAN Network. I'm Frank Granito and I'm joined in studio today by my partner Donald Eng on Thursday, September 22nd. Don, how are you doing today?
Enjoying the sun like everybody else. It's officially fall now. Might not have too many more of these warm days. I'm liking this one while it's here.
It's a great day here to kick off the fall, and we have got a lot to cover this afternoon, Don, but let's not waste any time and get right to our guest for today's show. He is the quarterback for the 2-0 Greenwich Cardinals as Connor Langen joins us on Nutmeg Sports. Connor, how are you doing this afternoon?
How are you?
We're great. Thank you for taking time with us. Let's start right here, Connor. You were predominantly a safety for the Cardinals last season. You're now the starting quarterback. What has that transition been like for you so far?
It's a huge transition. I just came to Coach Marinelli on this first year and, just wanted to play, and I wasn't really thinking about quarterback. And then, after a sudden change for the Richfield and Staples game, and that's where I am now.
Well, you really have done a great job at it. You threw for 4 touchdowns last weekend, but really it was the ground game that picked up that big win. You guys dominated the line of scrimmage against Trinity Catholic, rushing for 230 yards. In fact, your entire O-line was nominated for our Athlete of the Week. But how do you think they'll be able to match up now against a much bigger and deeper Darien front seven?
They've been doing really well. The offensive line is awesome, and they're the hardest working people in practice, and I give them a lot of credit. We're all really happy they got nominated, too. Just been voting every single day, but I feel it's going to be a really big test for them, and we'll see what they're made of, and then hopefully come out with a win.
We were talking earlier, Frank and I were, that when you're an offensive lineman, the only time you ever get your number or your name called is when you hold someone or you commit a false start. Well, what's it been like? Has it been kind of fun for the offensive line to kind of be nominated as a unit for Athlete of the Week?
They love it. They absolutely love it, and they're a bunch of good guys, and I'm just happy that they're nominated and not just a single person, because they really just make the difference in games.
Now, Connor, Darien lost a lot from both skill positions on offense and defense, but you look at what that secondary has done so far this year. They fly around and they make plays. How are you going to be able to have success against them this weekend?
They're really athletic, and it just starts with the line, giving time for the pass game and opening up the run game, and then once we have those two founded down, then we'll go from there.
Speaking of offense and defense, Kevin is off to a great start this year. He's rushed for 270 yards, 3 touchdowns. How important is he to getting this Cardinal offense going?
Oh, Kevin's awesome. It's awesome to have him be next to him and give him the ball. He just doesn't stop, and it goes back to getting to the offensive line. It just all starts with them, and Kevin's just a great guy, and he works really hard to practice. He wins every touchdown in every yard, and I'm really happy for him.
And it's not just Kevin Iobi, though. Cole Hartley also rushed for over 100 yards last week. We saw him line up as a Wildcat quarterback as well as next to you in the backfield. How much easier does your job get now when you've got 2 capable running threats standing with you in the backfield?
Yeah, you're exactly right. It's not just Kevin. We have Cole, who's put in a lot of work, and he was hurt last season. And, he came back, and he was playing a little bit of quarterback and a little bit of receiver, and then now he's a running back, and he's doing absolutely awesome, and I'm really proud of him for all the work he's put in.
Now, we were wondering, coming off a really tough game against Trinity, how do you keep your emotions in check, kind of not getting the best of you, getting over emotional, and possibly taking unnecessary penalties? How do you kind of stay on an even keel?
We did talk about it before the game, especially the offense, and we knew there were going to be comments said. We knew there was going to be penalties. It's an emotional game and obviously a memorable game. So, there was a lot of unsportsmanlike and personal fouls, but, we just let them get the flags, and we just took it from there. We just kept their mouth shut, and we just played the game between the lines.
Now, coming off that big win where the offense looked like a completely different unit compared to week 1 where you struggled against West Hill, how confident is this group now heading into a game where you're playing the defending FCIAC and state champ, Connor?
Just like our coach says, week 1 from week 2 is the biggest jump, and, we figured it out. We got the timing down. We worked on the deep ball. We worked on the passing, and the offensive line is obviously putting in all the hard work. So, it just opens up, and we're starting to come together even more as a family now, and we're just excited to be playing with each other.
And you mentioned Coach Marinelli. What has it been like working with Johnny now being the starting quarterback? He obviously had his time as a starter in the FCIAC. What's that relationship been like for you this year?
Oh, it's been awesome, man. It's Coach Marinelli and Coach Benowitz are with the quarterbacks most of the time. I didn't get to spend a lot of time with him last year, but, he's put me into the position where I am now. He's taught me everything I know about quarterback. He's helped me through the way. He's believed in me, and I just really thank him for that and everything he's done.
You've obviously got a lot of great receivers, Ty Ferris, Day, and Smith. I mean, there's so much speed outside the tackle box for this unit. How do you get them involved early on this week and try to create space for them?
It's just about running the routes and, getting the ball to them, because as soon as they get the ball, they can do magical things with it.
All right. So, Connor, that's hang on a second. And thanks for taking time out of your day to talk with us here. It's been great talking to you. We'll let you get back out to practice, and we will see you on Saturday afternoon.
Thank you for having me. See you then.
Sounds good, Connor. Thanks a lot. And Don,
Thanks.
He talks a lot about how this is a team. The team is really the best way to put it. He's looking into, he's got these great running backs that he loves handing the ball off to. He wants his receivers to run crisp routes, and the whole team is now behind that O-line. They're enjoying that and having a lot of fun with it. It's a very tight-knit group, but where do they match up or stand up against this Darien team, do you think?
Well, if it's kind of like it sounds almost like a broken record, but it's going to begin and end, I think, with the offensive line. I think he nailed it. We've been talking about it all week. Can they stand up to the Darien pass rush, keep them upright, give them time in the pocket? If they can, I think his receivers can get themselves open down the field. If they can create space for the running attack, I think Greenwich is right there with Darien in this game. If they can't, long afternoon for them.
We talked a little bit about the penalties taken against Trinity. Obviously, there were a lot of underlying stories that went into that game as well. We had Frank Alfano coming back, Coach Albanizio coming back. There are all these other situations. Do you think this was a rare occasion, and maybe that was what got the best of Greenwich at times with the personal fouls, or could we be seeing this again as they now have to keep in mind they played Darien last year and they took quite a shellacking at home?
Yeah, I think I would consider that last week was just the anomaly. I don't expect to see that again, particularly because you know how football can be. It's an emotional sport. You have to play. You have to play under control. If the other team thinks they can get under your skin a little bit, then you're going to be dealing with that all season long. I do think Greenwich plays on a more even keel. I think they don't have the emotional baggage that they had last week. I expect to see them be much more disciplined this week.
Let's talk now. We've got that O-line that's up for Athlete of the Week. All the success. They ran for 230 last week. They had 400 yards of offense after really struggling against West Hill in week 1. But this is a whole nother monster now that they face against Darien. They've got the big dude, Stuber, Cord Fox, Quinn Fay. It's a very aggressive defensive line. How is Greenwich going to be able to buy Lang in time and let him run the offense the way Coach Marinelli wants him to?
Yeah, well, as you mentioned, they struggled against West Hill with some very athletic defensive linemen on West Hill. Trinity actually has some very big defensive linemen. The problem with Darien is they're big and they're athletic, and that can kind of spell trouble for an offensive line. What I think they're going to need to do, they're going to need to just try to get some holes open, or at least early on. Keep the secondary back a little bit. Keep those linebackers back on their heels a little bit, just because it doesn't take. You don't need very much time. A quick striking offense like that, you don't need 7-step drops. Just 3 steps and out. I think is probably the way that the Greenwich is going to need to go.
And I would think that they want to throw very short passes, high completion percentage, be efficient, and try to control the clock. Because although it's not a proven Darien team, they've scored 50 points and 48 in their first 2 games. They've shown that they're really not a team you want to get into a shootout with, even this early in the year.
You don't want to get into a shootout with them, and you also don't want to get into a situation where you're needing to throw the ball. If you get some high completion percentage passes under your belt, get a little confidence, and keep the offense diversified. If you let Darien, get into that feeding frenzy mode where they're coming on the pass rush every throw, then Greenwich is in some trouble.
Let's take a break here on Nutmeg Sports. We'll have more on that game and the rest of the football games later on in the show. But when Don and I get back, we take a look at some of the FCIAC action that took place yesterday right here on the HAN Network.
1, 2, 3, FB! You know! I want to find out how good I am. Yes, sir!
If you relax, you get blown out. Let's get it done! Let's get it done!
What can you take advantage of right now?
Again, come on.
I can push myself way beyond what you think.
Pressure technique. Bring it back.
Have a sports injury or a slip and fall that needs immediate care? Coastal Ortho Express Urgent Care gives you direct access to an orthopedic specialist fast, without an appointment. Biking, golf, tennis, soccer, whatever the sports injury is, sprain or fracture, Coastal Ortho Express can help. Coastal Ortho Express Urgent Care, open Monday through Saturday, now in 2 locations. The iPark building at 761 Main Avenue in Norwalk and 36 Old Kings Highway South in Darien. Or go to coastalorthoexpress.com, like them on Facebook.
At Mex on Main, Trumbull's very own Mexican grill, we're all about fresh, fast, and friendly service. Our Main Street restaurant offers the best in traditional and non-traditional Mexican dishes, with only the best ingredients, never frozen. From authentic burritos, fajitas, quesadillas, and salads, we have something on the menu for everyone in the family. And enjoy our open salsa bar, giving you more ways to customize your meal. Stop in for lunch or dinner at 6528 Main Street, Trumbull, or find out more at mexonmain.com.
At Greenwood Physical Therapy of Bethel, individualized care, knowledgeable staff, and state-of-the-art equipment provide the best of orthopedic and sports medicine services. Our experienced therapists at Greenwood provide the highest level of knowledge and care. Greenwood accepts most kinds of insurance, and staff are there to answer your questions. Open Monday through Friday from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m., the clinic serves the greater Danbury area and is a convenient drive from Reading. Appointments are available within 24 hours. Just call 203-917-4792 or visit greenwoodphysicaltherapy.com for more information.
Hi, this is Leo Carl from Carl Chevrolet in New Canaan. And you've heard me talk about the Chevy Volt for years. The new model gets 53 miles on EV charge daily, plus 420-mile full range. But don't take my word for it. You need to come in and test drive the Volt yourself. Visit us at 261 Elm Street in New Canaan or online at carldirect.com.
Give your day a jumpstart with the latest news, sports, weather, and more on Coffee Break, live on the HAN Network, weekdays at 11 a.m. Connecticut news doesn't get any more local than on Coffee Break.
Welcome back to Nutmeg Sports here on the HAN Network. Thank you again to Connor Langen for taking time out of his day and talking with us. Don, I'm really looking forward to seeing how Langen follows up his 5-touchdown performance last week against the Wave this weekend.
Well, my guess is it's not going to be with another 5-touchdown performance, but you know what? He probably won't. He doesn't. You don't need 5. Just get a couple of scores on the board. Keep this game competitive. Greenwich, I think, has the physical ability to match up with Darien, but he's got to play well, and he's got to just avoid big mistakes at least early on in the game.
We talked a little bit with Connor about the offensive line of Greenwich, who is an Athlete of the Week presented by Runners Roost nominee. Taking a look at where we stand right now with that poll that runs through tomorrow night, Pablo Martinez of the Darien's boys soccer team has picked up 1,000 votes to date. He trails the Greenwich offensive line by 11 votes to be in first place there. Drew Pine of New Canaan in third, but he, Frokaj, and Paikaz are well behind, as it looks to be a two-team, I guess you could say now, race between Martinez and the O-line, Don.
Yes, and as I speak, I have inadvertently closed the wrong tab. But yeah, as you were mentioning, but it's such a thrill for the offensive lineman to kind of even be mentioned as a unit, because that's how they think of themselves. It's an offensive line is just it's 5 players that really have to communicate more so than almost any other sport that I can think of.
For the female Athlete of the Week nominees, Emma Lesko of Darien is in third place right now. She's picked up 913 votes. Lauren Beccaria of Fairfield Ludlow has 2,500 votes, but the leader in the clubhouse right now, Katie Jasminski of the Ridgefield girls soccer team, 3,318 votes up to date, Don. That is pretty impressive.
That is an amazing an amazing stat. Very nearly half of all the votes. In fact, 47% of all the votes cast so far have gone for Katie. So a lot of Ridgefield soccer fans out there.
Again, if you have not voted yet for the Athlete of the Week presented by Runner's Roost, you can go to HAN.network and vote for your choice. And we should remind everyone again, should the Greenwich O-line win, John Kovacs will be joined by all 5 of those gentlemen pregame on FCIAC Tailgate Saturday morning. But let's shift gears here now, Don, and let's take a look at some of the action that was played in the FCIAC yesterday. And let's start with the HAN Network's coverage from Fairfield Ludlow yesterday afternoon when the Falcons hosted the St. Joseph's Cadets in girls soccer. St. Joe's came away with the 1-0 win in what turned out to be a defensive struggle. The lone goal in the game was scored by senior Lindsay Savko off a 17th-minute corner kick from her teammate Alexis Mason. Let's take a look at some of the highlights. Alexis Mason is set for this corner kick, going with her left foot, trying to bend one towards the net. Oh! Bounces around and it goes in! Couchner missed the punch. It came down off the crossbar. What a shot, though, from the corner, Tim.
Decisions.
There's Mazzo with it, looking for Savko. Inside off the left foot. Oh, and just over the net. Oh, a gorgeous look right inside Lindsay Savko, stepping around the defender. Quickly stepping up to it. That one makes its way through in front of the net now. Oh. Just wide on the right side of the post as the clock hits all zeros. 2 and 1. Time will run out here as the Cadets remain unbeaten on the year. So the final score in that one, 1-0. Dom, we were just saying, too, we keep talking about how early in the year it is. Ludlow now 1-3. It's not really that early anymore. They've got to get going here.
No, as Yogi Berra said, it can get late early, to paraphrase him a little bit. St. Joe's off to a 5-0-1 start. They are the first team in the FCIAC with 5 wins, 16 points. The Cadets lead the Eastern Division. Ludlow now at 1-3-1, 4 points, is holding down 6th spot in the Eastern Division of the FCIAC. So I mean, at this point, Ludlow's going to need to put a run together, even to get into a position for an FCIAC playoff spot. And
we talked with Tim Murphy about it last night on the air, how they've benefit now from they've played St. Joe's and Ridgefield and have gotten them out of the way, but there are still a lot of tough games left on the schedule, and they do need to find a way to start winning games or at least picking up points. Losing 1-0, they weren't very aggressive last night. Very content with keeping St. Joe's at bay, but even if you come out with a 1-1 tie in that game, you move from 6th in the East up to 4th, and you go all the way up to that 8th place position now in the conference, with the top 8 teams, the only ones that qualify for the playoffs.
Right. I mean, it's no consolation, that they're losing tough games to tough teams, but the results are the results. And Ludlow right now, a lot of ground to make up in that Eastern Division.
St. Joe's is off until Tuesday next week when they will host Danbury, and Ludlow will look to bounce back tomorrow afternoon when they travel up to Trumbull. We also have some highlights from Darien's 3-0 win over rival New Canaan yesterday, courtesy of our own Steve Buno. Let's see how that one played out.
I just tried to go through a lucky left finish. It was awesome.
Just that I know my teammates will always support me. They'll always get me the ball. They'll always just support me.
Okay, well, I had a lot of support from my team, so it really wasn't anything because I knew if I rebounded it, if it hit over, someone's gonna be there to come put it back out. So no biggie.
1 minute, we're going to the bench.
So a big win for the Wave. Let's talk quickly about Christine Fior in goal for the Wave. It's her first year as a starter. The junior has already picked up 4 shutouts. It's not that tough to win games when you're not giving any up, Don.
No, it's a nice feeling for the offense too. It's that you're not going to have to put 3 or 4 on the board. She definitely will keep them in any game. Darien right now trailing St. Joe's really just by 3 points, having virtue of having played 1 fewer game. New Canaan 4th place, 2-1-2. As we mentioned, you get that tough game out of the way against Darien. Would have been nice to come away with points, but New Canaan still 4th place. In decent shape for the FCIAC playoffs, but as we say, it's early still.
And Dave Stewart was talking about this New Canaan team yesterday that just is struggling to find a way to score goals. They're looking for that identity, that one player to really step up and lead the offense. And we saw it again yesterday, just an offense that couldn't break through as they're shut out 3-0. We had a couple other games in action. Don, why don't you tell us about one of those?
Right, well, first off, Caitlin Walsh scored the game's only goal on a 25-yard strike in the 58th minute. Ward takes the 1-0 win over Trumbull to remain undefeated on the season. Trumbull had their chances. Ward keeper Megan Christensen made a diving stop in the 76th minute to preserve the shutout. Avery Rice, 5 saves for the Eagles.
That is a big win for Ward. We also had Danbury over Central by a score of 4-0, Wilton topping Greenwich 3-0, and West Hill besting McMahon by a score of 4-2.
On the volleyball court, Greenwich beat St. Joe's 3-1 to remain undefeated on the season. Ward took care of Central 3-0 in their matchup.
And finally, if we take a look at some of the swimming and diving results from yesterday, the co-op team of West Hill and Stanford defeated St. Joe's 100-57, and the Greenwich Cardinals outswam the Danbury Hatters on their way to a 105-54 victory. A lot of action going on, all the sports now in play, Don, and it is exciting to see all these matches, especially on the girls' soccer pitch. It is a tight race at the top of the league.
It really is, and as you mentioned, it's a great time of year. The fall sports season always just seems to be so compact. Almost every day there's a new score and to keep up on, and that really changes the outcomes and the standings in just about any sport you can look at on any given day.
Let's step aside one more time here on Nutmeg Sports, but when Don and I get back, we will take a look at all 9 of the FCIAC football games set to be played this weekend, right here on the HAN Network.
Walter Stewart's Market in New Canaan is your time-saving local shopping destination for the best of spring. Find many of your favorite products, from great specials on everyday items to the freshest organic produce, artisanal cheeses, and grass-fed steaks. Chop off your knives to be sharpened, grab a beautiful bouquet of spring flowers, and stop in next door for a wine tasting. Plus, their personable staff is always ready to lend a helping hand. So stop in to Walter Stewart's Market, 229 Elm Street today, or shop online at stewartsmarket.com.
At InSports Trumbull, the game is always on inside. Recently renovated and home to one of Connecticut's largest indoor turf fields, InSports is a multi-sport recreation center providing state-of-the-art facilities for league play, camps, and youth programs. Players have access to soccer, lacrosse, football, baseball and softball, field hockey, rugby, basketball, volleyball, and social game facilities. InSports has also launched an early childhood development program, a daycare and pre-K program all rolled into one. Don't miss out on the fun. Find out more at insportscenters.com or call 203-268-1214. Like and follow us on Facebook.
Washington Prime, now open on Main Street in Georgetown. Come enjoy our relaxed setting, excellent service, award-winning nightly happy hours, and feast on our creative new American cuisine. Connecticut Magazine's winner for Best Steak, Washington Prime of Georgetown.
The leaves are changing, water temps dropping, and the sun is setting a little earlier each day. But there's still a lot of great boating, fishing, and coast time left before we see the first snow. And above all, remember, it's always summer at the Dock Shop. With loads of new fishing tackle and accessories, clothing, jewelry, and home decor, the Dock Shop is just what you need when you start to feel that New England autumn chill. Boater, beach bum, fisherman, or simply love the New England coast, this is a unique place to shop. The Dock Shop, 51 Tokenique Road, Darien, 609 Riverside Avenue, Westport, dockshop.com.
At the Ridgefield Suzuki School, we believe that every child can. Using the internationally recognized Suzuki method, children learn to play their instrument in an environment of encouragement, parental support, and community. The Suzuki approach seeks to develop the whole child, to help unfold his or her natural potential to learn. Private lessons and group classes are offered on violin, viola, cello, and piano for children ages 4 and up, and young children can enroll in the school's early childhood classes before beginning an instrument. The Ridgefield Suzuki School, nurturing a love of music in all children. Call us at 203-403-2667 or visit ridgefieldsuzuki.com.
I'm John Kovach. I'm a newspaper editor. I'm a high school football coach. I'm a television presenter. And I want you to love fishing as much as I do. Tune in to Yankee Fisherman, Thursdays at 1 on the HAN Network. It's like going to the tackle shop without leaving your office.
If you're watching this broadcast, you're not alone. The HAN Network is available for 200,000 Connecticut cable customers on the Frontier Network, and we've also reached 1.7 million viewers on our free live streaming sports, news, and entertainment broadcasts. To reach our rapidly growing audience, contact Advertising Director Jessica Murrin at 203-273-7312 or email jessica@han.network.
Welcome back to Nutmeg Sports here on the HAN Network. Frank Granito and Donald Eng in the studio as we take a look now at the FCIAC football game set for this weekend. Let's start with the Friday night games, Don, and let's go to Fairfield Ward, 0-2, playing at Stanford. There are going to be a couple times we ask this question, but does Ward need to win this game to salvage their season?
Well, starting off at 0-2, you look at the schedule, and you hate to look down the schedule and say, okay, well, that's possible. But you would think so. I mean, you would think that at some point you've just got to get on the board, and this may be one of their best chances.
And they're struggling offensively, defensively. They haven't looked crisp quite yet. And Stanford could run Diaz 30 to 40 times right now and really be successful, just letting him dictate the pace of the game, but also just a big bruising force. Ward, not known as one of the bigger teams, he could really inflict his will on that game.
He really could. He really could wear them down. And as you know, if they don't stop him in the first quarter, they're not going to stop giving him the ball until Ward stops them.
Heading to our next game, the New Canaan Rams travel to Kennedy Stadium to take on the Bridgeport Central Hilltoppers. New Canaan really looked back to its true form last week. They go to play a Hilltoppers team that's trying to find its identity here and really pick up that signature win. They've not beaten New Canaan since 2009. It was actually a 42-7 win in a monsoon that night. Bridgeport Central advanced to the FCIAC championship that year. Can we expect the same kind of upset?
In a word, no. Maybe I think I don't think Central is that far away. They're just not ready for that kind of quantum leap. I think the Central team is probably really pointing toward 2017 season as kind of their return to form for Bridgeport Central.
This one, an interesting one here. Fairfield Ludlow 0-2 travels to Tiger Hollow, but it's against a Ridgefield team that won't have Drew Fowler out with the shoulder injury, and we saw Greg Gatto struggle in his first half of football as the starting quarterback. Is Gatto able to right the ship here, or do the Falcons have a chance to maybe steal one from Ridgefield?
I think Gatto rights the ship for the Tigers. Ludlow has played well in stretches. They just seem to be prone to these breakdowns and just like these mistakes that cost them games. I think Ridgefield gets it done here.
This a really interesting one on the calendar. Wilton 2-0 after the great start. Staples 2-0, and they've looked really good. Do the Warriors have enough to hang with the Wreckers?
They're going to have to play about as well as they can. Wilton so far has kind of been the surprise team in the FCIAC. They're coming off their first win of the season. I thought to myself, well, it's a dedication of the Fujitani Monument, an emotional win. Let's see if they can do it again next week. They did. This obviously their toughest test of the season so far.
And that's a Staples team you don't want to say has been surprising to start the year. A lot of people thought Staples might be back, but they have really looked good, and I think it's impressed people more than surprised them.
Yeah, I mean, I thought they would start the season 2-0, but they've actually been more impressive than I thought they would be.
Heading to our Saturday slate, you've got Norwalk 2-0, traveling to Trinity 0-2, who really does need to win this game to save their season. They're unveiling the new Gaglio Field and that new stadium. And remember, there was a lot of controversy last year in this Norwalk Trinity game over the questionable touchdown call at the end of it.
Yeah, Trinity, probably the best 0-2 team in the state, you would think. It sounds kind of silly to say, but it's almost certainly true. Norwalk clearly haven't forgotten about what happened last season. I look for Trinity. I would think another emotional, intense, hard-hitting game for them.
Harding makes their return to the FCIAC, as we were saying. They get a Danbury team that's 0-2. Harding 2-0. They were 10-0 in the regular season last year. This is a game that they'll expect to win. How do the Hatters match up, though, with the Presidents?
Well, I think what they need to do is they need to really just deal with the running game of Harding. You know, they've been very impressive. Obviously, not against teams, not against FCIAC teams. They've been playing in that Constitution State Conference. But Harding has not really missed a beat with the transfer of Tayson Pomachan. They've been impressive, coming off a playoff year for them a year ago. They may be on their way back, particularly with a win over Danbury.
Then you've got Trumbull 1-1, bounced back against Ludlow last week after that opening loss to Ridgefield. Against a West Hill team we're still trying to get a read on. Played very well against Greenwich week 1. Easy win against Central last week. Now they get a legit Trumbull team. Where do we think the Vikings match up against the league?
You know, I think this game was a toss-up. You know, West Hill went toe-to-toe in their opening week, and just a tough loss in the closing moments. I think West Hill and Trumbull, I really, their records are both 1-1. This game is probably, I would think, the most evenly matched competitive game on the schedule this week.
McMahon 0-2 travels up to Trumbull to play against St. Joe's, who bounced back after that opening weekend loss to Darien. Big win against Ledyard last weekend. Where do you see the Cadets-Senators battle turning out?
I give the edge to St. Joe's. I think they're just a little bit more rounded of a team. But certainly, this is one of those where, 0-2 McMahon, if they got their first win against St. Joe's, wouldn't surprise me at all.
And then we go to our game of the week. Greenwich 2-0 at Darien 2-0. Are the Cardinals ready to compete with the top-tier teams in this conference?
Yes, but I don't think they're ready to beat them. I think Greenwich is just about a half step away. Maybe if this game was even played at the end of the year rather than week 3, I might feel a little bit differently. I think Darien has just a little bit too much for them. I expect a very close competitive game. Darien maybe pull away late. I think this is maybe a 10-point game.
And this will start a very tough stretch of schedule now for Greenwich. They'll see Trumbull, New Canaan, Norwalk, who's undefeated, as well as Staples over the next 6 weeks of the schedule. So they've got a lot to look forward to, but it all starts this weekend, and we'll see where the Johnny Marinelli program is in just year 2. Don, we will not see you until next week. We'll see how your prediction max up. We got you down for Darien minus 10, excuse me.
There we go. It's a little bit weird to be on the other side of the predicting game now, coming from history, but we'll see how I do.
For Donald Eng, I'm Frank Granito. That's going to do it for this week of Nutmeg Sports. We've got girls field hockey at 3:50 tomorrow from Darien, and then our game of the week, Greenwich at Darien, FCIAC tailgate 11:45, pregame at 1:15 on Saturday. We'll see you then right here on the HAN Network.